Hi, I'm Coach Michelle. Today I'm going to show you how I make my favorite no sugar drink. It's green tea kombucha. This is how we do it. Okay, so first of all, when your product is ready, it's gonna look like this. Here's one that I started in February. When I make my kombucha, I like to use gallon containers, and I like to label it with what I'm making and the date. Just gives me some good information. I've found that kombucha can ferment and hang out for many weeks. You want to watch out that it doesn't completely run out of food. If you're using it down, when it gets to about here, you're going to want to make some more starter for it. Kombucha is fermented tea. It likes sugar and tea. What kind of tea doesn't matter. So I like to use green tea. Specifically, I like to use this Japanese matcha tea. I find this particular matcha at Costco, but you can use any green tea, any black tea, oolong, white tea, it doesn't matter. You just want some real tea. The other thing you're going to feed it is sugar. You can use any sugar. I am enjoying this particular product that I found at Sprouts right now. I kind of think fermenting foods do better with a less processed sugar than with a more processed sugar, but any sugar is going to work. You could use honey, you could use cane sugar, you can use molasses. I mean, you can experiment as long as it's a real sugar. Your kombucha will eat it and ferment. Okay, so let's get started. The first thing you want to do is make your tea and get your sugar to dissolve in the water so you have a sugar solution. To do that, you're going to want to boil some water. Okay, so you're going to want to boil some water. Now, you're going to want 1 cup of sugar and half a cup of tea per gallon. We're going to be making a new batch for this green tea mother, and so this is a gallon container. So I'm going to use 1 cup of sugar, and I'm going to use half a cup of tea. Rather than making a whole gallon of hot water, I'm going to make a few cups of hot water, and then I'm going to put my sugar and my green tea into there and let it sit for a while, cool down, and when it's cool enough, I will be able to use it for my old kombucha mama. So let's get some green tea. Okay. There's half a cup of green tea. Here's a cup of sugar. I like to put boiling water into a Pyrex glass because I know it's not going to burst if I pour boiling hot water in there. And yeah, it's going to be big enough to take in all my ingredients. Actually, I'm going to start with the tea. And I'm going to mix it in really well. I like to use an aerolite, but you can also use, I like to use an aerolite. You can also use a whisk. You could also use a spoon. So you just want to make sure it's really whisked in there. You could also use one of the Japanese matcha whisks, bamboo whisks, and whisk it with that. So when you're whisking the matcha, you'll get a grass smell, kind of like fresh cut grass. Now, while the water's still hot, but after the matcha is all whisked in, I'm going to add the sugar. And now I'm going to whisk that in. You could use an immersion blender or just a regular blenders. Okay. Now I'm going to let this get completely cool, because if I put it in hot, it will kill my kombucha mama. So I want my kombucha mother to stay nice and healthy, so I'll let this cool. When I pour this into there, after it's cool, I'll add water until I get the fill line up to about an inch down from the top of the jar, to give the kombucha mother room to breathe and get surface air. While this is cooling, I'll show you another thing I like to do with my green kombucha. So, when you first make your kombucha, and here's one I made today, this is still going to have a fair amount of sugar in it. In 24 hours, it'll be ready to drink, but it will still be a very sugary drink. I don't want to have that much sugar, so what I do is I let it sit. This one's about a week old. So I will let it sit for another few weeks, and when it's at least a month old, or maybe 2 or 3 months old, then, so this is my 2-month-old green kombucha. I poured it into a cap bottle, and I put in a little lime juice. So the way that looks is take a lime, make some nice fresh lime juice, and in a bottle this size, I'll probably put in a whole half of a lime. I'm going to cap that, and I'm going to keep my eye on it. I don't want to let that go longer than about 2 days without checking on it and letting off the pressure. You can actually, if you build up too much pressure in a jar like this, it can crack the bottle. When this has fermented further for a couple of days, eating on the lime juice, then it will become bubbly. And this is when I like to turn it into a drink. However, you can also use it in the state it is right now, which is more like a vinegar. And here's how I do it. I have a soda stream. I carbonate my water. I take my vinegar, my green tea vinegar, add, I don't know, how much ever you like, 2 to 4 tablespoons, and then you can have fun with it. You can have it like this. Savory, nice and savory. You could add some stevia. I'm going to add a lemon twist to my lime with this lemon flavored stevia. I'm going to add 7 drops. Again, you could add 4 drops, you could add 8 drops, whatever you like. I want to keep exploring. I'm going to add a little fresh squeezed lime to this. Wow. I could even add a pinch of salt, just a little tiny bit. Yum. I could turn it into a very citrusy drink by taking some grapefruit, putting just a hair, because I don't want to turn this into a sugar drink, just a tiny bit of grapefruit juice. Yum. If I feel like I want more kombucha flavor, add a little more kombucha. And that, my friends, is how to make a refreshing kombucha, green kombucha drink. So how did I get my kombucha mother? Well, I've heard of people buying them on eBay. There might be a fermentation club in your town, or just put the word out that you're looking for one, and someone will probably have one. Once you get a kombucha mother, you can change the kind of tea it's in. That's not a problem at all. This kombucha mother originally came from my friend who is using it for making black tea. When you ferment kombucha long enough, the kombucha mother expands and you end up with layers. She kind of layers off. So you can kind of see the different layers. And so you can just peel off a layer and it's ready to share. Or it's ready to make a different kind of tea. All right, that, my friends, is how to make refreshing, sugar-free green kombucha.